You're sitting at your computer late at night. Not rushed, not emotional, not impulse shopping. You're buying something you actually need. A shirt. Price $42. You move your cursor toward checkout. Everything feels normal until your eyes catch one small line of text. Shipping $7. $7. It's not a lot of money. It won't break your budget. But emotionally, it feels wrong. It doesn't feel like paying for value. It feels like paying for nothing. $7 for air. $7 for distance. $7 that don't leave you with anything tangible. Your hand hesitates. Your brain pauses. And right at that moment, marketing steps in. Next to the shipping fee, glowing in friendly green text, you see it. Free shipping on orders over $50. This is the exact moment something critical happens in your mind. Your logic center shuts down. Your dopamine center lights up. You stop thinking in math. You start thinking in victory. I'm not paying $7 for shipping. That's what suckers do. I'll just add something small. I'm being smart. You go back to the store page. You scroll. You search for the cheapest possible item to bridge the gap. A pair of socks, $12. You add them to the cart. Now your total is $54. The shipping fee disappears. The word free appears. You feel relief. You feel clever. You feel like you just outplayed the system. You click buy. And in that moment, you genuinely believe you just saved $7. But if we slow down and do a simple forensic accounting of what just happened, you spent $12 to avoid paying $7. You didn't save money. You lost $5. You paid what the video calls a stupidity tax, not because you're stupid, but because the word free short-circuited your judgment. The real danger here isn't the $5. It's the false sense of winning. Because from the company's perspective, they increased your order value. They moved extra inventory. They earned higher margins. And you did it voluntarily. No pressure, no deception on paper, just one powerful word, free. This phenomenon is called the zero price effect. When something costs even 1 cent, your brain asks, is this worth it? But when something costs 0, your brain stops evaluating value and starts fearing loss. Fear of missing out. Fear of leaving a deal on the table. Fear of being the person who paid for shipping. And companies know this. Free shipping thresholds are not generosity. They are behavioral engineering. You think you're optimizing your spending. In reality, you're optimizing their profits. You're not beating the system. You're doing unpaid labor for their fulfillment network. And this is just the beginning. At first glance, the free shipping threshold looks harmless, almost friendly. Free shipping on orders over $50. Why 50? Why not 45? Why not 60? Most people assume it's arbitrary, a nice round number, a marketing choice made without much thought. That assumption is exactly what makes the trap work. In reality, that number is calculated with precision. Every serious e-commerce company tracks a metric called AOV, Average Order Value. This tells them how much the average customer spends per transaction. Let's say their data shows the average customer spends $38. Now here's the key insight. If they offer free shipping at $38, nothing changes. You are already going to spend that much. But if they set the threshold at $50, something very different happens. You are forced to stretch. Not because you need more, not because the product is valuable, but because your brain cannot tolerate paying for shipping when free is so close. That gap between $38 and $50 is not an accident. It is engineered friction. The company knows that most people will not abandon the cart. They will hunt for something cheap, something unnecessary, something just to get over the line. And when you do that, the company wins in multiple ways. First, they increase their average order value. Second, they move low-demand inventory. Third, the extra item often carries a much higher profit margin. But here's the part most people never consider. The shipping was never free. That $42 shirt you bought, it probably cost $4 or $5 to manufacture. The rest of the price already includes marketing, overhead, returns, and yes, shipping. Shipping costs are averaged out and baked into the pricing model. So when you add the socks to get free shipping, you are not hurting the company. You are giving them pure margin on an item that was designed to be an add-on. You are not optimizing your spending. You are optimizing their logistics. You are effectively doing unpaid work for their fulfillment center, helping them clear shelves and increase efficiency. From their perspective, this is not a promotion. It is a behavioral funnel. They are not asking, how do we save the customer money? They are asking, how do we make the customer feel smart while spending more? And it works because of how the human brain processes loss. Paying for shipping feels like a loss with no reward. Adding an item feels like progress, even if the item has no real value to you. This is why people end up with drawers full of things they didn't plan to buy. Extra tables, cheap accessories, random household items. Each one justified by the same sentence. Well, I needed it anyway. But most of the time, you didn't. The free shipping threshold doesn't exist to help you. It exists to train you, to teach you that spending more feels better than paying fees, to condition you to associate free with winning. Once that pattern is learned, it repeats everywhere. Clothing, electronics, groceries, subscriptions. The math never changes. Only the packaging does. And once you see this, it becomes very hard to unsee it. Few phrases in marketing sound as powerful as buy one, get one free. It feels generous. It feels fair. It feels like a rare moment where the customer wins. You buy one item, you get another at no additional cost. On the surface, the math looks unbeatable. If one shirt costs $50 and the second one is free, you're effectively paying $25 per shirt, a 50% discount. Most people stop thinking right there, but that's exactly where the manipulation begins. The correct question is not, how much am I saving per item? The correct question is, did I actually need two? If you only needed one shirt, this deal did not save you money. It forced you to spend $50 to solve a problem that could have been solved for $25. In many cases, waiting for a simple 50% off sale would have been cheaper. But BOGO doesn't feel like a discount. It feels like a reward. That emotional difference matters. Retailers understand something very important about human behavior. People hate leaving value on the table. If the second item is free, walking away feels like losing something, even if you never needed it in the first place. And that feeling is precisely what retailers exploit. Buy one, get one free is rarely about generosity. It is about inventory pressure. Retailers use BOGO when they have too much stock, items that are slow-moving, items that take up warehouse space, items that cost money just to sit there. If they mark the item down by 50%, you might buy one. But if they offer BOGO, they force you to remove 2 units from their system. Their storage problem becomes your storage problem. Closet space, drawer space, mental space. You are now paying rent on square footage that exists only because the second item was free. And there's another cost that rarely gets mentioned. Clothing, household items, and accessories are depreciating assets. They lose value the moment you bring them home. They wear out. They go out of style. They sit unused. That free shirt isn't free if it crowds your closet, adds clutter to your life, and eventually gets thrown away. It costs you attention. It costs you organization. It costs you peace of mind. From the retailer's perspective, BOGO is brilliant. They move excess inventory. They protect their brand from looking discounted. They increase total cash collected per customer. From the customer's perspective, it only works if both items were truly needed, and that's rare. Most of the time, buy one get one free is just a polite way of saying, please help us clear our shelves. You are not being rewarded, you are being recruited. Recruited to carry excess inventory, recruited to store depreciating goods, recruited to spend more money than you planned. All because the word free made more feel better than enough. Few offers sound as irresistible as 0% interest. No interest for 12 months. No interest for 24 months. Same as cash. On the surface, it feels like free money. Why pay now when you can pay later for the same price, especially when everyone tells you that inflation makes future dollars cheaper? Mathematically, it sounds smart. Emotionally, it feels painless. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because 0% financing is not designed for disciplined people. It is designed for human beings. Disorganized, distracted, busy, prone to emergencies. Here's how the trap actually works. You walk into a furniture store. You see a sofa listed at $2,000. The salesperson smiles and says, no interest for 24 months. You make the minimum payments, everything feels fine. As long as you pay off the entire balance before the deadline, you pay 0 interest. But buried deep in the contract is a clause called deferred interest, and this is where the horror movie begins. Calm, reflective documentary narration, low energy, deep voice, slow pacing, empathetic tone. If you miss a single payment, or if you still owe even $1 at the end of the term, the deal is void. Not partially void, completely void, and the penalty is brutal. You don't just owe interest on the remaining balance, you owe interest on the original $2,000 calculated retroactively from day one, at rates often close to 29.99%. Think about that math. One mistake, one forgotten payment, one late paycheck, one vacation where you forgot to log in. Suddenly, you receive a bill for $1,000 or more in back interest. That $2,000 sofa now costs $3,000 plus. The financing company isn't surprised when this happens. They are counting on it. Their entire business model is built on something called breakage, the percentage of people who fail to complete the terms perfectly. When you sign that agreement, you are betting against the house, and the house knows the odds. Even if you do pay it off perfectly, there is still a hidden cost most people miss. The sofa is not really worth $2,000. When a store offers 0% financing, they pay a fee to the lender to subsidize that loan. That fee is often 5 to 10% of the purchase price, and that cost is baked directly into the sticker price. The real cash value of that sofa might be $1,700. If you walked in with cash and said, I don't want financing, what's the cash price? You could often negotiate a discount. By accepting the free financing, you are paying a hidden surcharge for the illusion of convenience. The interest isn't gone, it's just invisible. This is why 0% financing feels easy, but costs more. It removes immediate pain. It delays consequences. It assumes perfect behavior from imperfect people. And finance companies know that perfection is rare. That's why the safest rule is simple. If you cannot afford to pay cash for the item, you cannot afford the risk attached to the financing. 0% interest doesn't remove danger, it disguises it. The modern internet is built on one powerful promise: free. Free email, free social media, free messaging, free entertainment. At first glance, it feels like the greatest deal in human history. Global communication tools, instant information, and endless content, all for $0. But there is a saying in Silicon Valley that explains the Rio business model. If the product is free, you are not the customer, you are the product. Companies like Facebook, Google, Instagram, and TikTok are not designed to serve users, they are designed to serve advertisers. You are not paying with money, you are paying with data. Every click, every like, every search, every second of attention. That data has real economic value. It shapes which ads you see, which credit offers you receive, which insurance rates you are quoted, which job opportunities find their way to you. This creates a hidden cost known as the privacy tax. You give up personal information today in exchange for convenience and entertainment, but the consequences often show up much later, quietly and invisibly. And the exchange rate is terrible. You trade years of behavioral data for a few minutes of dopamine. Free apps are engineered to keep you inside their ecosystem as long as possible, not because they care about your experience, but because attention is inventory. The longer you stay, the more ads they can show, the more data they can collect, the more valuable you become to advertisers. You are not the user of the platform, you are the raw material. And once your data is collected, you don't control how it's used. It can be sold, aggregated, analyzed, used to predict your behavior. Your preferences become a commodity. This is why free services push you to accept terms without reading them, why permissions are vague, why privacy settings are buried. The system relies on passivity.
Calm, reflective documentary narration. Click, accept, scroll, consume. And because there is no immediate financial pain, it feels harmless. But unlike money, you can't earn your privacy back. Once it's gone, it's gone. The free digital world teaches us to underestimate long-term costs and overvalue short-term convenience. You didn't get something for nothing. You paid with something you didn't know how to price. And in many cases, you paid far more than you would have if there had been a clear dollar amount attached. Free games and free trials feel harmless, even responsible. Why not try it? There's nothing to lose. And that belief is exactly what makes them dangerous. Let's start with free games. You download a mobile game. It costs nothing. It's fun. The first levels are smooth and rewarding. You feel progress. You feel competent. You feel invested. Then something changes. The game slows down. Energy runs out. Levels become harder. Progress stalls. Suddenly, a solution appears. $5 for gems. $5 to skip the wait. $5 to keep playing. It doesn't feel like spending. It feels like removing friction. And because you already invested time, 10 hours, 20 hours, your brain resists quitting. This is called the sunk cost fallacy. You don't want to waste what you've already put in, even though quitting would cost you nothing. So you pay. $5 becomes 10. 10 becomes 50. 50 becomes hundreds. Developers don't guess where this happens. They hire psychologists to design it. They know exactly when to reward you. They know exactly when to frustrate you. They engineer pain points that can only be relieved with money. The game wasn't free. The entry was free. And once you're inside, there is no spending limit. A fixed price protects your wallet.
A free price removes the ceiling. Now look at free trials. Try it free for 30 days. Sounds fair, sounds safe, but there's one requirement: your credit card. Why? Because companies understand inertia. Newton's first law applies to personal finance. An object in motion stays in motion. Once you sign up, the hardest action is canceling. You intend to cancel, you plan to cancel, but life gets busy. The trial ends, the charge appears. You notice it and think, "I'll cancel later." Later turns into weeks. Weeks turn into months. 3 months go by. You just paid $45 for something you thought was free. The company didn't forget to remind you. They designed the system so you would forget. This is not accidental. It is monetized forgetfulness. They rely on distraction. They rely on procrastination. They rely on executive dysfunction. Free trials aren't about letting you test value. They are about locking you into habit. Once a subscription becomes background noise, it drains money quietly. And because each charge is small, it doesn't trigger alarm. Free creates the illusion of control. I'll stop when it's not worth it. I'll never overspend. I'll remember to cancel. But free removes friction, and friction is what protects you. When something costs money up front, you pause, you think, you evaluate. When it's free, you enter first and calculate later, if you calculate at all. That's why people spend more on free systems than paid ones. Free doesn't mean cheap, it means unbounded. Reward points feel sophisticated, smart, strategic.
Spend money. Earn points. Redeem rewards. Free flights. Free hotels. Free upgrades. It feels like beating the system. But let's slow down and look at the math. Imagine you spend $10,000 over a year to earn enough points for a $500 flight. That flight wasn't free. You didn't get a reward. You bought a $10,500 flight. The points didn't come from nowhere. They were funded by your spending, and often by spending you wouldn't have done otherwise. Reward systems gamify consumption. They turn buying into a game. Levels, tiers, status, gold, platinum, elite. You don't want to waste points. You don't want to fall short of the next tier. So you buy one more thing. You swipe the card one more time. Not because you need it, but because you're close. This is not accidental. Credit card companies know that people who chase points spend significantly more than people who use cash. The rewards are funded by merchant fees generated from inflated spending. Your free travel is paid for by higher prices passed on by merchants, interest from people who carry balances, and increased transaction volume from people chasing rewards. The system doesn't reward discipline, it rewards volume. And there's another hidden cost. Points lock you into ecosystems. You choose stores, airlines, and brands based on points, not value. You stop asking, is this the cheapest option? Is this the best option? You start asking, how many points will I get? Value gets replaced by incentives, and incentives are rarely aligned with your best interest. Reward points are not a gift. They are a rebate on overspending. They make excessive consumption feel rational. They disguise higher total costs behind small wins. You didn't earn something extra. You paid extra and got a fraction back. And the more you play the game, the harder it becomes to stop playing. At this point, the pattern should be obvious. Free shipping, free items, free financing, free apps, free trials, free rewards. Different packaging, same outcome. So the real question isn't whether these tactics work.
The question is, why do they keep working on us? The uncomfortable answer is this: because free removes risk. When you pay money, you accept uncertainty. You might not like the product. It might not be worth it. You might regret the purchase. Paying forces evaluation. Free removes that friction. When something is free, it feels safe. It feels reversible. It feels harmless. There's nothing to lose. But that statement is rarely true. The risk hasn't disappeared. It has shifted from price risk to behavioral risk. We are very bad at evaluating our own behavior. We overestimate our discipline. I'll definitely cancel on time. I'll pay it off before the deadline. I won't overspend. And we underestimate the power of manipulation. We assume we are rational actors in a free market. In reality, we are emotional actors in a highly engineered environment. Marketing doesn't rely on you being stupid. It relies on you being human, tired, distracted, optimistic about your future self. Free exploits overconfidence. It invites you to enter systems that only work if you behave perfectly. And perfect behavior is rare. Another reason free works is social normalization. Everyone uses free apps. Everyone chases deals. Everyone signs up for trials. When behavior is common, it feels safe. No one wants to feel paranoid or extreme, so we follow the crowd. And finally, free works because it hides costs in the future. Delayed interest, recurring subscriptions, data harvesting, clutter, lost time, lost attention. Humans discount future pain heavily. Immediate pleasure feels real. Future consequences feel abstract. Free takes advantage of that gap. It gives you the pleasure now and pushes the cost into a future version of you. A version you assume will be more organized, more disciplined, more careful. That future person rarely exists. Free doesn't trap you with force, it traps you with optimism. And that's why it keeps winning. Understanding the trap is useful. Avoiding it is better. The goal is not to reject every free offer. The goal is to stop letting free make decisions for you. The first rule is simple but uncomfortable. Always calculate the total price, not the discount, not the savings, not the percentage off, only the total cash leaving your account. When you see buy one, get one free, ask, how much am I actually spending today? Then ask, could I solve this problem for less by buying only what I need somewhere else? Very often, the answer is yes. For free shipping, you need to be willing to do something that feels wrong at first. Abandon the cart. If your total is $42 and the free shipping threshold is $50, pause. Ask yourself, is there something I truly need right now for $8? Not something that might be useful someday, not something that justifies the deal. Something you would buy even if shipping were already free. If the answer is no, pay the shipping or walk away. Even better, apply the 24-hour rule. Close the browser, leave the items in the cart, come back tomorrow. Most of the time, the urge is gone, and if it's not, the retailer may send you a coupon anyway. Patience weakens the power of free. For 0% financing, the safest rule is strict. If you cannot afford to pay cash, you cannot afford the risk. Free financing assumes perfect behavior. Life rarely delivers it. If you must use financing for a true emergency, automate your protection. Set automatic payments. Schedule full payoff at least 1 month before the deadline. Do not trust memory. Do not trust motivation. Systems beat intentions. For free trials, treat them as paid subscriptions that start immediately. If you wouldn't pay for the service today, don't sign up. Use calendar reminders. Use virtual cards. Cancel immediately after signing up if the platform allows access during the trial. For free apps, value your data. Use burner emails. Limit permissions. Question why something needs access to your contacts, location, or microphone. Your attention and information are not worthless. Finally, remember this. Free works best on passive people. It relies on inaction. It relies on forgetting. It relies on optimism. The moment you slow down, calculate, and delay, the spell weakens. You don't need to outsmart marketing. You just need to stop reacting to it. At the end of the day, this isn't about shipping fees, apps, points, or promotions. It's about awareness. In the modern economy, free is never a gift. It is a business expense. Someone is paying for it. And almost every time, that someone is you.
You pay through inflated prices. You pay through future interest. You pay through forgotten subscriptions. You pay through wasted time, lost focus, and surrendered data. You pay through unnecessary consumption that slowly erodes your financial position. Free doesn't eliminate cost, it hides it. It moves the pain somewhere you're less likely to look. That's why free feels good in the moment and expensive in hindsight. The most dangerous thing about free is not that it takes your money, it's that it takes your attention. It trains you to react instead of decide, to chase deals instead of value, to optimize for short-term pleasure instead of long-term outcomes. Free teaches you to ask the wrong question. Instead of asking, "Is this worth it?" you start asking, "How do I get this without paying?" That shift alone is enough to quietly drain your wallet over time. Value is calm. Value is boring. Value requires patience. Free is loud. Free is urgent. Free demands action now. And the more often you choose free over value, the more control you hand over to systems designed to profit from your impulses. The solution isn't paranoia, it's clarity. Every time you see the word free, pause. Ask, where is the cost hiding? Who benefits if I say yes? What behavior is this trying to trigger? When you seek value instead of freebies, your spending becomes intentional. Your money lasts longer. Your attention comes back under your control. There is no free lunch. There is no free money. There is only transparent value or hidden cost. Free is the lie. Value is the truth. Choose accordingly.